Hi there, and welcome to the second part of 3 parts of a blog series I'm doing called 12 Weeks to Me. And if you remember in the first episode, which wasn't an episode because it was just written out, but in the first blog, I talked a little bit about scheduling and how I sat down and made a schedule for myself for the summer to help facilitate some of the goals that I have. And it's not just my creative goals, although those are important. It's also goals that have to do with my health and well-being, and my mental makeup, my spirituality, and my psychological makeup. And so I used a 3-part process to do that. I identified the areas that I felt needed to be addressed this summer. I set some goals or priorities, if you don't like the word goals. And then I wrote those things down. And in today's episode, I want to talk about tracking. And so when I write down my goals or my priorities for the summer, I did so in a way that was not just a laundry list of things I want to have accomplished at the end of 12 weeks. I actually wrote them down in such a way that I can keep track of kind of how I'm doing on a week-by-week basis, even day by day. And so I wanted to share some of that with you today, and hopefully that will give you a little bit of insight about what I've been doing. The reason I like to track things, not just make goals, and set goals and then meet them or not, I like to keep track of what's going on for 3 reasons. And the first one is that I want to, of course, see where I'm not meeting my priorities, where I'm not meeting those goals that I've set. And of course, the best way to do that is to keep track of what you are doing and what you're not doing. And I didn't want to wait till the end of 12 weeks and just find out, oh, I didn't meet my goals. I feel like if I can do a little bit each day and a little bit each week on keeping track of where I'm at, then I can make self-corrections and adjustments throughout the month or the months that are coming up, and to get closer and closer to kind of the ideal. The second thing is, of course, I want to see which particular goals I'm not meeting, because I'm looking at a balanced approach to my goal setting and to my scheduling. What I want to do is know if I'm not meeting my writing goals, or if I'm not meeting my goals for health and fitness. I want to know which goals I'm not meeting and which areas of my life seem to be slacking, so that I can adjust and correct those. But the third thing is probably more important than even the first 2 for somebody like me. And that is that by tracking what I'm doing, I can get a real sense of making progress and having some sense of accomplishment. I'm one of those kind of people that sometimes at the end of the week I'll feel like I haven't accomplished anything. Or even at the end of the day, laying in bed thinking, well, what did I really do today? But by tracking what I'm doing, I actually have some mechanism for talking myself out of kind of off of that cliff of, oh gee, I'm such a slacker, and into a more full and realistic view of what I have and have not accomplished. And so for me, being able to look back and see that something went really well this week, or even only moderately well, is an important thing for me. So what I want to do is share with you a little bit about the 3 methods that I'm using to track myself. And the first one is that I came up with a master sheet that contains all of the little checkmark points, or checkpoints, or waypoints, or benchmarks, that's a good word for it, that I want to keep track of over the next 12 weeks. And I have them broken down into 4 categories. I have creative, my writing life, and in that I have certain things like the number of new pages I want to write in a given week, things like journaling on a regular basis, and reading new books, going new places, trying new things, all those things that feed my creativity. But then I also have 3 other categories. I have the spiritual or the mental health categories that includes things like daily prayer and meditation and things of that nature. And then I have physical health, which for me this year is that I want to bike 252 miles by the end of my 12 weeks. And then things like my physical health as far as my diet goes. And I'm trying to do a better job of managing some of those things. So what I have on this sheet then is kind of everything that I hope to have happen over the summer. So if I want to journal every day, I know that by the end of the summer I should have 84 new journal entries. And so I have 84 little places that I can mark when I've actually accomplished those things. At the end of the summer then I can look at this master sheet and get a very visual, very quick picture of kind of where the holes were and where the successes were. Now, I also came up with a weekly schedule, and you can see the days of the week and the hours are marked off. It's very much like a calendar. It's a calendar for what my ideal week would look like. And of course, I rarely, if ever, have an ideal week, but this is what it would look like if I had the perfect ideal week. And I have time blocked off for commitments like teaching and attending some meetings and things that I do on a regular basis. And then I even have time marked off for rest and relaxation. I have time for my breakfast and lunch and dinners because I'm wanting to pay more attention to my diet. My daily journaling, my daily prayer and meditation times. All those sorts of things are in this schedule. And then by each one I have a little checkbox. And as the day goes along and I accomplish those things, I just make a little check in each box for when I have spent time reading or studying, time writing, time doing work for clients, those sorts of things. So at the end of the week I can kind of look back over where my time was spent, and that's a great way for me to just kind of keep track of these are the ways I would like my day to go, and try to accomplish those things. And then each week I also have a weekly check sheet where I have some notes about some place to put notes about the things that went well throughout the week, and then for each day, for each thing that I want to accomplish. I want to read one new book this week. I can mark off once I've accomplished that, and those things all feed then back into that master check sheet that I showed you to start with. Sorry for the rustling of papers. I'm sure that'll be really nice for you to hear. But by using these three methods, I'm able to really keep track of where I am and get a better feel for how I can continue successes that I'm having, but also then in areas where I'm falling short, I have that next week to make up for it. I have that next week to make it right and to try to fill in as many of those things as possible. It also gives me a numerical way to kind of look at things. So, like for example, the first week that I did this program, I was at about 88% compliance. So there was a little bit of room for me to grow. And ideally, as the weeks go on, I'll get a little closer and closer to 100%, because that is where I feel like I should be right now at this stage in my life, is in these particular areas. Of course, these areas are very specific to me. They're the goals and the priorities that I have set for myself. But you can do very much the same kind of thing and with your own goals, your own priorities, and that are responsive to where you are in your creative life, in your physical life, in your spiritual life. But trying to find some way of balancing all of those things. And this is my method. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. And in a few days I'll put the third installment of this blog up, and it's called Reflection. And it is the idea of how to take what you have done and reflect upon it. And so until then, I'm Eric Wyatt, and I'll see you later.